we made a whole episode, I think, last week about Tears of the Kingdom, and we're talking about Zelda. Maybe it was the week before, and it was like a bunch of stuff. I think we went through the whole direct, but there was a 60-second section where we talked about, does Tears of the Kingdom kind of look like Breath of the Wild? And, for TikTok and for socials, the editor, who we don't even tell him what to highlight, by the way, decided that was a fun conversational piece that might get some people to interact with it, and took that 60 seconds of the conversation and put it on social media. The TikTok did pretty well and had a lot of comments, and one particular that I saw was, these guys will do anything for attention, trying to say that Tears of the Kingdom looks like Breath of the Wild. Now, that wasn't the title.
It's made from.
I know. We're gonna get into it, but I want to clarify. That wasn't the title of the episode. It wasn't the overarching point. It was a throwaway statement we made. But as Bob was just saying, so
come on.
I kind of wanted to get into that a little bit because I haven't seen it happening much yet. And I think mostly because we haven't seen much of the games. So I think it's a bit unfair to start jumping down Nintendo's throat and being like, you've just made Breath of the Wild again. But the way things are tracking, I can totally see that being a conversation that's going to come up. You're going to see when the game drops, a lot of YouTubers, a lot of articles with titles like, is this just Breath of the Wild again? Is it just DLC for Breath of the Wild? Is this really worth it? Essentially the same thing that happened with God of War and God of War Ragnarok. I can see this happening again.
It's already happening. So last night, Hannah was looking stuff. She was watching. She always watches like a bunch of YouTube videos to like try to get ideas for the podcast. And she was watching one that was literally this conversation. And
oh my God.
When we do that voice, do you know sounds?
Do you know sounds?
It was that guy.
Oh, really?
We materialized.
It was the sounds guy?
We materialized that voice, and he was basically, having this conversation. Do you think Breath of the Wild is like the same thing as the thing? And it's like freaking 25-minute long video of a guy just
was
talking
it good
about that.
Content, or was it what the TikTok commenter was trying to say we were doing?
The guy was basically explaining what we're about to spend 25 minutes explaining.
All right, well,
it's basically,
we're here.
Look, it's freaking built from Breath of the Wild. Does Ocarina of Time look like Majora's Mask? Like, come on, it's gonna look the same. The problem is that this last trailer so the first trailer we got looked very different. The first trailer obviously had the bones of Breath of the Wild, but Link
you didn't know where
different.
It was going. You
didn't really know where it was going. Link looked different. There was a lot of sky stuff. We love the sky stuff.
Love the sky. Love the uppies.
This last trailer we just got, I literally spent the first 1 or 2 minutes thinking it was DLC for Breath of the Wild. Because that's how similar it looked. And because Link didn't look like he did in the last trailer. He looked kind of similar to how he does in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I'm gonna stand by this statement I'm about to make, where I feel like this is the first true sequel we've ever had to a Zelda game.
What about Majingle's Mask?
Yeah, so here I broke this down on stream last night too, but Majingle's Mask was a sequel to Ocarina. I think it was like a weird sequel where like it was like an implied dream, but that aside, it was using all the same assets just like we are in this case, but it was in a brand new area. You weren't in Hyrule. The whole world was different. You're in a new town, a new place, a new location. You didn't really know where it was. That's kind of why a lot of people think it's some weird afterlife situation, but essentially they redid everything and you had a whole new world to explore. So that's where I think this one, the Tears of the Kingdom, is starting to look a little bit more like the first ever sequel we've had, because for the first time ever, we are directly returning to the last game. Because it's very clearly using all the same stuff, but also still in the Hyrule that we just spent the last 5 years exploring in. And a lot of what I was hoping to see as far as like what's new, what's different, where are we going with this? And the uppies, all the uppies we've seen is that's
the name of the town that's in the sky.
It's the name of the town. It's still just floating platforms, and we haven't seen Link spend any time up there yet in these trailers. We haven't seen a single town,
city.
You
think that there's going to be a lot more in the sky than I think. I think it's literally going to be one.
Well,
Divine
that's what I
Beast
was
type dungeon.
That's what I was hoping. And that's why I was thinking like this is where this could be more of a sequel because we have a whole new area, a whole new uppies.
Hyrule looked pretty much the same. A lot of the enemies and stuff looked very similar. There's new enemies and whatever, and there's some new stuff that Link could do. In the beginning of the trailer, they had the Blood Moon thing where what do you call that when all the enemies respawn and stuff?
Blood Moon.
Yeah, that literally just happened again. So I was like, okay, this is Breath of the Wild. The only thing that made me go, oh, okay, this is gonna be different now, is the like vehicles you build.
Yeah, but all of that stuff again goes into like, could you have just implemented that into Breath of the Wild, which is essentially what they've done. I mean. Yeah. This could just be, because in the DLC, the actual DLC for Breath of the Wild, they added a motorbike.
Yeah, but this looks like there's a lot more building mechanics. It would be like one massive DLC.
No, definitely.
I mean, Breath of the Wild is such a big game already. Like,
yeah.
I think it's worthy of a sequel. Now, this sequel just so happened to cost more than the first game, which is another conversation. The most expensive DLC that's ever been made.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, okay, I want to say, though, we haven't played the game. We haven't seen much of the game. I'm still expecting to get a Zelda Direct. There could be loads of stuff hidden away that they haven't shown yet. Whole new areas, an expansion to the ground of Hyrule, an expansion to the uppies of wherever we're going that we just haven't seen. We're working with what we have right now. But and I'm not saying it's not going to be enough content to be worth it, but I don't think anyone can look at this and not say that it looks like DLC for Breath of the Wild, because currently that is all we have seen.
Yeah. No,
which is fine.
I think that, honestly, the building stuff is enough to change the whole game, because right now people spend thousands of hours in Breath of the Wild just messing around with the physics. And having the ability to build stuff and use that to traverse changes the way people are going to spend thousands of hours playing this game. It's going to be like a little tiny Minecraft inside of their Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yes. I think are you putting a lot of stock into this having crafting elements and building these things? Because it kind of, to me, just looked like two vehicles.
I think that there's going to be different ways you can put them together, and people are going to use that.
Was that implied at all? Or are you just...
It shows him putting it together.
It does?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. All right. I got to look at that trailer again.
I'm putting a lot of stock into the I don't know, because I don't want to say it's going to be like Minecraft. I don't want to say that you're going to be building everything, but I think that the small amount of building that's in it, people are going to run with, and they're going to do all sorts of crazy stuff with it. And that's going to be the meta for the game, for like the post-game stuff, where people usually just mess around with like blowing shit up. They're going to mess around with the different types of vehicles and the different shit you can build.
Which only sucks for me because I'm not a creative person in that way. And I feel like I'm going to be missing out on a lot of content that a lot of other people get to enjoy.
I feel like it could be fun. I mean, I didn't get that far in the original Breath of the Wild.
I'm just quickly watching this new trailer to see I forgot about the grinding on the rails.
Oh, yeah!
That does look really sick.
I'm a big time
I really feel
Sonic
like
Adventure fan.
There is so much that we haven't seen yet. They just showed a quick shot of like an arrow.
So you literally just see him pull one of the wheels out of a river, and then he's just driving the car.
I never put two and two together there with that first shot is him pulling out the wheel.
So we don't actually see him crafting the thing. We just see him pulling the wheel out, and then he's driving the car, and then there's another shot of him in a very similar vehicle that is flying in the uppies.
It could be like a predetermined story mission, though, where it's like, go get these wheels and hook him onto this already built thing that I've been working on.
That would be very upsetting. So it looks like in the previous trailer, where we got a lot more, he had, you saw more of his arm thing and some of his arm abilities, and he had there was like a meter for his arm ability stuff. And it looks like the vehicle runs on that green energy that that meter is or arm.
It has gas.
It looks like it's similar to, maybe it deteriorates. Maybe it's going to break after using it too much.
Yeah, I hope if they add in building, they at least add in like crafting and being able to recraft your weapons when they break. I want to see how they handle that.
Well, the Master Sword supposedly is broken already. Like this game starts, it's broken. So
yeah,
already people are going to be pissed about that.
I guess that makes sense though, because the whole mechanic of like rotating through all these weapons, these breakable weapons. If you were to start a Zelda game from scratch and Link already, as a sequel, and Link already had the sword from the last game that never breaks, it really wouldn't lead to much exploration with weapons at that point. You kind of have to take it out of the player's hands somehow.
Yeah, I think we both talked about how we didn't hate the fact that the weapons broke. We thought it was a good way to make it so that you had to use a bunch of different weapons. Yeah. We just wished that they didn't break as often, or there was a way to like enchant them so that they didn't break or something like that.
Yeah, no.
Like after a certain point, like I've used all the weapons. Like let me pick the ones that I want to use.
I would like just them to last twice as long, because sometimes it's ridiculous, and to be able to repair weapons. Like when they break, they drop like fragments that you can pick up, and then you can take that to a crafter and they can rebuild it as many times as you want.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
I think another reason this game looked a lot different in the first trailer was because of that like arm meter. And it looked like he had like a bunch of new abilities and stuff. And in this one, he has new abilities, but a lot of them are like very similar to the old abilities. So like it still kind of feels like Breath of the Wild. But I mean,
I think
we've said before that like, I mean, if it's more of the same game, it's still going to be good, because Breath of the Wild is so good. It's still the top rated game on Metacritic for the Switch. I mean,
so true. I think it's always going to feel like Breath of the Wild anyway, because they've never done a sequel like this before. We've never been treated to this. I mean, we're so used to going from, what was it, Twilight Princess to Skyward Sword was the next one.
Yeah, I mean, they called it sequel to Breath of the Wild, which kind of knocked me back a little bit, because I was like, have they done that before? And then I remembered, Majombi's Mask. But
Majombi's and Ocarina, which is kind of...
But I guess
love Nintendo. I love how they repeat history all the time, because Breath of the Wild really is changing up Zelda in a new way, just like Ocarina did, and then that got a direct sequel, and now this one's getting a direct sequel.
Yeah. Look, did Ocarina of Time look like Majora's Mask? Yes. Is Bugs Bunny good looking when he's dressed as a woman? Absolutely.
Okay. Did I have a crush on a cartoon character when I was 8? Probably.
Who didn't?
Maybe. Is that what you're wrapping up that conversation?
Where else do we go? It looks the same. I mean, the problem is people are going to, riot no matter what. If we say that it looks way different, we're lying, because it's literally built for Breath of the Wild. If we say that if we say that it's the same, people are going to be mad, because they're going to be like, no, there's new abilities and all this stuff. Because obviously there's all this stuff, but it does kind of look like Breath of the Wild.
I think we're allowed to
say
it looks the same.
We're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't.
I don't, probably, but I think we're allowed to say it looks the same if we're also super excited for it. And I know that I'm going to love it even more than Breath of the Wild, and it's going to be great no matter what Nintendo does. I mean, if they have been working on this game for how long? 3 years, 4 years? I mean, when did they start? After Breath of the Wild?
At least like 6 months, at least.
If they've been working on this game for at least 6 months, and they had all the, they're working from the base of Breath of the Wild and not deviating from that too much, then they've had so much time to add in so much stuff. Yeah. So I'm sure this is jam-packed, filled with new content. I think, from what I can see, though, I have a pretty good feeling and inkling that it's going to feel like playing Breath of the Wild again. It's going to feel like playing that game again, like it was 5 years ago, but with a whole new toolbox and things to do and explore within the world. Like we're going back with more to do, and that's okay. It's just weird because we haven't had Nintendo really do that ever before in Zelda, but I'm excited to see it.